Way back when I was born, I was raised in a very white, nuclear, middle-class family. I was very sheltered. We were raised in a small town, one red light, no other ethnic group, but just us white folks. And I was very naive about the world. My grace journey really started when I was about 19. I had gone away to college my freshman year, came back home because I was tired of trying to party and make good grades and work. And so I moved back in with my parents, and about that time I met the love of my life, and we started dating. And also about that same time I found out that I had a scholarship to a really nice 4-year college, and that was going to complete my last 2 years, the scholarship. And I had plans to be an art historian or a curator. And so getting married and all those things were really not in my future. During that same time that I found I got the scholarship, when I had met my future husband, I also learned I was pregnant. And that, of course, was definitely not in my plans. And I was freaked out, to say the least. I didn't really like children. And so I was like, God, I don't want children. And so I started polling people, and of course nobody in my family, but most of my friends and coworkers, and the general consensus was to abort. So I called the abortion clinic, and the lady that I spoke to was pretty cold, and I thought that was kind of remarkable for somebody to be talking to somebody about such a life-changing decision. She told me really quick how much it would cost and that I would have to have a positive pregnancy test. I didn't have the money to get a positive test from a doctor, so I went to a free clinic. I knew that they would try to counsel me not to abort, but I went anyway because I had no money. So that was all part of God's plan, because I met a sweet lady named Carolyn, and she talked me out of the abortion. And thankfully my boyfriend at the time, my then boyfriend, my now husband, was supportive of me the entire time, and he really did not want me to do it. So I kept the child. I left the clinic with a whole different outlook. I was just so thankful that somebody was there to stop me from doing it, because I was pretty settled on it. I had Alex, my first child, and he was just perfect. And he's, in my mind, still perfect. Some days he's not, but I was just amazed that I was scared actually what he was going to end up looking like. When I had him, I thought, how could God be so graceful to give me a child that does not have two heads and a forked tongue after the way that I've lived my life? And he was perfect. He's beautiful, he's smart. I'm sorry, Alex, you're not beautiful, you're handsome and smart, and just precious. And just holding him after I came, it seemed like such a moment where God was just shining down on us. And then, of course, Johnny and I got married before he was born. And then I went on and had Ashton, my second child, not even a year later. And God showed me grace during that time by not letting me collapse from exhaustion, because I went ahead and finished my 2 years of college at the 4-year university where I got the scholarship. They bent over backwards for me. They were very, very friendly. I was an oddball walking around the campus pregnant with all the trust fund babies and the sorority brothers and sisters, but I went on and got my degree in art history, and actually was able to commute an hour there and back and get a degree with a 4.47 GPA. So just getting through that, I think, was grace. And then after that, I got a job working in the inner city in Birmingham, And here I was, a little small town girl driving an hour in from an all-white town to the poorest zip code in the entire country, and seeing every day what those children were exposed to. We taught free art lessons to children in the inner city, and seeing what they were exposed to every day just blew my mind. And it showed me again how blessed my children were. Even though we were poor, we were living in probably similar rural situations to the people I was working with. We were a young couple. I was in college, and we were on WIC and food stamps at the time, and I was sitting in the offices where we would apply for these things with the very same people that I was probably ugly to in high school. So that was not only grace, but it was also humility. And so seeing these, all these things from a whole different perspective really started turning me around, and I think it made me a better person in the way that I looked at other people's circumstances. After I worked with the children in the inner city, I ended up working in Birmingham with a domestic violence shelter, and that was a whole other dose of grace, because I saw ladies and their children coming in the dead of the night with nothing on but the clothes on their backs. And it was such a humbling experience to realize how blessed I was to have such a loving family and such a sweet husband to come home to, and a loving father. And so that was also an eye-opener for me. One of the most sacred and grace-filled moments that I think that I experienced, and it all came full circle, was when Alex was about 4. I went with a youth group I was leading at the time to Rebecca St. James concert. It happened to be put on by the Crisis Pregnancy Center, where I went for the pregnancy test with him, and I got to introduce him to Carolyn, the lady who counseled me not to abort him. And standing in that room with the two of them together was just such a sacred moment. It was just the coolest thing, and I know that she was just delighted, because there are times when we do things for God that we don't know until the other side of heaven how it turned out. And I was so glad to be able to show her what good she had done and how she had saved a life, literally.